agree, Mel, 100% that we have to account for the lavatory facilities down near the turf field.
Now, the one issue, we've actually been, you and I have discussed the Melrose project, and I've been going back and forth a little bit with Carl on it. One issue, though, and Rita reminded me this, Rita Mullen at the meeting, we can't use any school funds directly on that field because that's not school property anymore. So I don't think we can put any funds from this project. So we'd have to build, whatever we built would have to be on the school property, probably behind where the practice field is or someplace in that area. So I don't know if that that option would work. It's an interest. Carl actually sent me some pictures of those prefab restrooms that go under the grandstands. It's pretty interesting the way they do that. But I don't know if we'd be able to do that unless, Parks and Rec funded it, because we can't use school funds on that field, directly on that field.
Well, interestingly enough, I mean, any appropriation we get for that facility would not be reimbursable, so
Right.
maybe it could even be set aside as a separate article,
Maybe.
complementary to
Right.
the article for the
That's right, that
override
would
for the
not be
school building.
reimbursable, right.
So it's a possibility we could do something like that, be creative. But I think we're going to have to find out what's required. What are we required to
Right,
have
the
down
plumbing
there?
codes, right.
For the plumbing code.
Health and plumbing codes.
And then, obviously, what we think is needed as well, so.
It was really exciting, though, to hear that. I know it's still an estimate, but the 51.54% is, that's a good number.
It's a very good number.
Very good reimbursement.
It's a good number, and the other number that's obviously very, very important is what percentage of the
Right, what's
overall
reimbursed.
cost is going to be reimbursable.
Yeah.
So it's 51% is one variable, 51% of what is the other variable that we need to find out and to nail down. But we'll do that very soon. I mean, this is all coming together rather quickly now. We're moving along. Any other comments, Mike? Anything?
I'd just like to
Yeah, Kathy.
add that the community meeting will now take place on November 29th,
Good.
not November 17th. It will take place after the holiday. At that time, we will have more specific information to share with the public.
What day of the week is that, Kathy?
I believe
that a
that is a Tuesday.
Tuesday? Okay,
I believe so. I just want to make sure. It is.
Tuesday.
A Tuesday.
All right, good, good.
That's 7 o'clock at the high school.
7 o'clock at the high school in the auditorium. We will make sure that we do a lot of advertising because we'd really like members of the community to attend.
We'd like to start getting that out, obviously, in the transcript as a part of whatever story the transcript puts in, too, that's going to be a very, important meeting. We'd hope to have as much of an attendance there as possible, because there's going to be a lot of information at that. We're going to have a lot of information at that meeting.
And our
available.
next school committee meeting is the 21st at the little school.
That's
little school.
We'll also be discussing, we'll also have a presentation that night from the SSBC, correct?
That's correct.
And we're going to have that lined up as to how we're going to proceed, right, on the,
Yes,
at the little school?
SSBC will present information first.
At
and
7 o'clock.
At 7 o'clock, right after our student representative. And then the little school students will perform at 7:30. And that was a request by the little school administration for that format.
And then we could still reserve time after the presentation by the little school students to answer questions. Okay. Any other comments?
One thing I'm happy with is that we clarified the whole gym situation.
Right.
We're getting 2 full-size gyms, 4 courts, separate wall.
Right.
That was a good thing that happened recently.
I'm glad Mike brought that up, too, because I also want to make it clear that for all youth groups, not just youth basketball, but for everybody, I think the administration, I think Kathy made it clear, too, that we will work to accommodate the youth groups. And if there are things that we can do or tweak once this new facility is online, we will do that.
Right.
Things, for instance, if there's an activity in another part of the building, we could still use
Right.
the gymnasiums or have them open.
Right.
So we will work with them. I mean, we're committed to doing that.
Well, and to add to that, the architect has already, one of the things we talked about, that was talked about a couple of SSBC meetings ago, was possibly adding some more drop-down baskets.
Right.
And they've already done that. They've put that into the plan. So as Mike says, on a Saturday or whenever, you'll be able to break up into 4 courts. That would be sufficient for
Same as they have now.
second, third, fourth,
Yeah.
fifth grade,
Yeah.
maybe even 6th grade kids to play games.
Same as they have now.
They'll have 4 courts, and that should go a long way.
And the other
toward-
thing we have to look at, and we've talked to the architect about, is a divider that
Right.
makes sense, so that you can actually divide this facility into 2 separate, clearly separate spaces for whatever, for basketball, volleyball, whatever it is. So
And it's an upgrade with wood floor.
it's going to
Yes.
be a brand-new facility with
Right.
wooden floors, yeah.
I mean, project is a must at this point.
Yeah.
Yes, and we're getting so close, so if there's anybody that's out there that's watching, this is a must project. There is no question about it. If we want, I mean, I'm gonna go to so far as, you don't wanna see your neighbors moving out of town that have kids to other towns that have new schools. You don't wanna see your property value, there isn't anything scientific, but your property value will go down if these two well-maintained but dumpy schools remain after the vote in
I
March
agree.
or February.
Yeah, and I also want to stress too, that if you can get to one of the
Yes.
meetings, any one of the meetings, certainly the 29th would be a great time to go. But also any of the meetings that we're having at the schools, any of the meetings for the parent organizations, just to get the information, so you have the information, you can make an objective decision as to whether or not you want to be in favor of this project. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Well, it's certainly once-in-a-generation opportunity.
Once in a
Absolutely.
The other thing, you were gonna mention something that we discussed earlier about the opening date?
Oh,
Kathy just did,
Yeah,
yeah,
she did,
yeah, she just did, which is good.
Very exciting, because if you,
I know.
you know, that's, obviously, everything is in the planning stages. We don't even have the project approved yet, but that would mean that current freshmen at the high school would start their senior year at North Reading
great
High School.
send-off.
And what a great, and, you know, so all the middle school kids would be
Right.
getting at least
Some
2
benefit,
years, if
yeah.
not more, at the high school.
Right.
And the 6th grade at the middle school would start their freshman year at the
New facility.
high school.
Kathy, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, at all of the events that have taken place up to this point, there's been a presence by the SSBC, sharing flyers, putting out the board schematics that we currently have, and they will continue to do so right up until the vote. So anytime we have new information, representatives are at a school event, sharing that information with the public.
I think that's a very important point, that the project is unfolding, and so it isn't stagnant. So if you've been to a meeting and you've seen the status at one point, 2 or 3 weeks later, you go to another meeting and you very likely you'll find that there's been something changed or modified or
Additional
added or
information.
more information
Clarification,
available or whatever. And this is very, very fast moving. Around the 1st of December, we'll have more information, pretty much the project at that point. And we've got about 2 months to mull it all over, and we'll be voting on it. So it's not like it's going to take forever to go through this process. It's very, very fast moving.
It's moving. Cliff, finally, it's really moving.
It's moving, and it's moving very fast.
And
Kathy?
just one more, I'm sorry I keep coming back to this, but today we found that the MSBA's board meeting is scheduled for January 25th.
You have that
We
date.
have the date.
Okay, that's key, because it's at that meeting that they would vote to approve the project, and and then the burden becomes ours. At that point in time, we need to move forward and get approval for the funding, both at town meeting and at a town election, a debt exclusion vote.
became-
So that's a key date, a very key date for all of us. Okay.
Now I'm really done.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda, we're going to move on to a review of the Arthur Kenny Field sponsorship signs. A year ago, Recreation began with the permission of the school committee, support of the school committee, on a trial basis to sell sponsorships and post those sponsorships at the Arthur Kenny Field. I'm going to ask Mel, we discussed this at the subcommittee, athletic subcommittee meeting. Mel's the chairman of that committee, and I'm going to ask him to present to the committee a proposal going forward.
We did promise to get to this before the end of the school year, before the end of 2011, to review the existing policy, to get feedback on how it worked, to allow school committee members to add their thoughts and concerns, issues, pluses or minuses on the program. Just to report, they sold 28 signs last year for an amount of $28,000. $13,000 of that went to purchase a 25-year warranty for the lights, and that also includes the computerized control of the lights. So Parks and Rec can turn the lights on and off from home, set it on a timer. That's a big help. We had only had a couple of year warranty on the lights prior to that, and the warranty would have been done. The other thing that they purchased, and they haven't been installed yet, and actually I have some questions about this, so we need to talk about this, but they spent $15,000 for new lights for the practice field. If you recall, we had lights for the school practice
I think
field
they're there, aren't
previously.
they?
They're not up.
They're not up?
No. they have the lights. Those are some older lights
Okay,
that,
all right.
they have the lights. They have not installed them yet. Those also will have timers and also have the same warranty as the lights on the main field. I don't want to get deeply into this, but I think we need to look at whether we should be putting those lights up before we figure out what we're going to do at the school.
It would be appropriate to do that because the lights might not be in the right place.
Exactly. And I don't think you want to spend, you've got the lights, but I don't think you want to install them without knowing
Right.
exactly what's going to be there. So,
Okay.
so the discussion at the last, athletic subcommittee meeting was to review the banners. We did take a vote. It was unanimous to bring it back, to recommend it, that we increase the number. We had allowed them up to 35 last year. They sold 28. There had been some discussion about increasing it to 50 because you could fit 50 there. And I believe we came away with the recommendation to increase the total number of signs to 40 that they could place. I personally, as I've stated at the meeting, I've had no community complaints about the signs. I think it's great that we can raise this money and we have local businesses that want to support the athletic programs in town.
We might add too that Rita Mullen and Marty were at the
Right.
meeting on behalf of Recreation, and they said they had not had a single complaint or objection to the signs. And for anybody that doesn't know, these are sponsorship banners that are about 4 feet by 4 feet, that are
6, I think.
4 by 6 feet, that are paid for by local businesses. Mel suggested $1,000 for the year, and they're displayed underneath the grandstands on the far side of the new athletic turf complex. So that's the proposal, is to continue it for another year,
And to increase the maximum to 40.
40. Okay, discussion.
I have the same objections that I've had in the past. I actually approached the building inspector with a complaint. I was definitive in the complaint. He referred me, basically, he didn't refer me, but the implication was that I should go to the Board of Appeals with my complaint against him. In order to do that, I need to be an abutter. I'm not an abutter. The abutter that I know is not interested in pursuing it. So I'm.
But you're still opposed.
I'm still opposed to it. I think that it's a subterfuge around the zoning bylaw. I don't believe it's allowed by the zoning bylaw. But you can only do what you can do. I think that the advertising is advertising. It's not sponsorship. It's advertising.
Okay.
And the only people that can see it and read it are the kids on the field. And so it's advertising to the kids. And I'm against that as an issue of a slippery slope, and I continue to be opposed to it.
Okay, I respect your objection, Cliff. Again, I viewed it from day one as a sponsorship type of thing that affords businesses to support North Reading, athletic facilities, and I think that if they were going to spend that kind of money in advertising, they'd probably find a more opportune place to do it. But I understand your objection. Is there any further discussion? I was an advocate of increasing the number of signs to 40 and maybe even 50 because they're contained in the same place. We're not expanding them to any other location at the field. And the funds are going to be well spent. I think there are a number of different things that Recreation has planned for the field. And even since we first completed the field, there have been some improvements made down there. So
I do know one of the things that was on the proposed upgrades were lights just for the track.
right.
A lot of the fields have the lights just for the track. You can keep those on till 10 o'clock at night. Residents can walk the track, and you don't have to have the main lights on that are on the turf field.
Right. That would,
I don't know what some of the others were. but I don't
It's
know.
on the back of the handout
it's-
that you
okay.
had in
Oh.
front of you.
All right, let me go through just quickly. I won't read all of them. Improve fencing, improve landscaping, track equipment, updated track equipment,